crap as normal, so it might get louder towards the back end of the show. So, Sean, welcome to the show. You might be a bit of a referee tonight, as you probably just witnessed before we went live. So, get your black and white striped T-shirt on, fella. So, first topic tonight is the up-and-coming show on Saturday, which is in Sheffield. It's the Next Gen preview. So we'll let Snow White Andy take us through the cards. So Andy, over to you.
Oh dear, here we go. You're definitely going to need a refereeing uniform on, Sean. There's no two ways about it in a bit. Okay, we'll start off. Obviously, this is the Next Gen show Saturday night, coming from the Sheffield Arena. We'll start off with Kieran Conway. Quite a way down the card, which I'm really surprised about. Unless this gets switched about. Do you think this is because he's fighting again in September?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's just a tick-over fight for him, I think. And they hope he'll come to and then see us in September.
Bit of a risk, isn't it?
Him fairly active, hasn't he? It's not off. So if I was, I might to September.
Yeah, I find this very odd. Unless they're thinking he's not quite sharp enough and he needs a few rounds. Because it's a big show in September. It's the Triple G Canelo show, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's going in the under to get that right for that card. So it's confidence booster more than anything.
So he's going in against R.O. Schwartz, who's currently 11-0. Do you know much about him?
I've seen bits on Box Rack, but I'm not.
What's your thoughts on Kieran Conway, mate? Do you rate him as a fighter?
Yeah. Well, I think he's sort of, as we'll touch, I'm sure. I think he's big fight. He'll come unstuck against Ammo Williams, but I think what we've seen is a sort of contender, sort of high domestic level.
Yeah. It's a very big ask against Williams, isn't it? But you never know. You know, these fights sometimes surprise you. You sometimes get a surprise result. Williams might go to it thinking he's got an easy night's work, and it might turn out completely different. Good evening, Michael, all the way from Canada. How are you, pal? We're just talking about the Next Gen Matchroom show for Saturday night, Mike. So we're just going to go through the card. You're more than welcome to come and join us on screen, pal, if you want to. Carl will drop you the link. Okay, moving on. I might not be running through these in the order they're going to be going out, Carl, but I'll have a good go at it. I think next on the bill might be Campbell Hatton. So we'll go next fight's Campbell Hatton against Mikhail Dufek. The interesting thing here is a while back we were talking about how we thought Campbell Hatton should be taken out of the spotlight a little bit because he was fighting on quite strong cards high up the bill, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that they've brought him back to the Next Gen card. So he's currently sat at 7-0, and Dufek's got a lot of fights. 34. He's 34, 23, and 2. But he's got 22 knockouts.
Well, he's 39.
Yeah. So he's very late in his career. But the last thing to go from a fighter is his power. So, interesting. I mean, you don't know what standard of opponent he's been fighting, to be fair. But this is definitely a step up for Hatton, I'd say. How do you see this fight going, Carl?
You need to go and get a job with Matchroom, you do. Coming out with stuff like that, saying this is a step up for him. Let's be honest, he's a 39-year-old journeyman. Like you said, last thing to go is the power. 22 knockouts, so he obviously can bang a bit. 23 losses, only 7 by KO, suggests that he should be hanging around for a bit in the fight as well. So I can see this going to points. I think he's been brought over to give Hatton some rounds in the bank. But to call it a step up is a bit of a stretch.
I think no matter what I say tonight, you're going to go against me just for the sake of it. You got it wrong
Stop
side of the bed,
stop talking crap. Then we'll be
I'm
all
not
right.
talking
But
crap.
you
I'm
might
not
want to
talking
go to
crap.
Sean.
So look at Ant's previous opponents, right? All 7 of his opponents, if you add all their
Look,
fights up,
just
it still
because
won't
you
be as
talk
many as this
more,
guy's had.
just because you talk more, don't make you right. All right. So I'll stick
It
to
don't
what
make
I've
you
said.
right, neither does it.
And like I said, move on. He's a journeyman, so
Yeah, he is, but he's an experienced one, so it's a step up.
No, experience don't mean he's a better quality than what his face does it just because he's got experience.
No, but he knows the ring, don't he? He knows his way around the ring, mate. He's been
We
in
don't
there
know
a long
nothing
while.
about him, do we? We don't know nothing about him to say he's a step up. That's my only point.
Okay, so the point I'm making is the people he's faced before have had less fights, they've got less experience. Anyway, Sean, what's your opinion on Campbell? Do you think he's improving?
Hard to say, really. Sometimes he looks like he's improved, and sometimes he looks like he's gone back. I think for him, it's probably the sort of level of fight. But really, we got to start now. If he's got high aspirations for the sport, I think it's time we start seeing more of his. I'm not sure he got a high level in him.
Difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. We've spoke about this loads on the show. You know what you do with him, where'd you take him? If you was him, would you be wanting to move away from having your old man as as a shadow? Would he be better off not fighting under his uncle?
Who's that aimed at?
I think with him, it's just that he needs the fights to learn. But unfortunately, with the platform he's on and how much of a bit, he's going to have that sort of element that he's a star on the show, even though he might be. So I think it's going to bring him up right and give him the right step up to the right time.
I mean, to be honest, he won't ever lose that shadow, will he? Just like Conor Ben won't ever lose a shadow, or Eubank Jr. So
yeah, but there is ways to play your own path, isn't there? And having him in the corner as his manager and having his uncle as his coach means that he can't get away from it at all. That's my only.
I'm talking about whenever he steps into ring, though, there's going to be comparisons, isn't there?
Of course, because of his name. Yeah.
So what? Yeah. I mean, the truth is, because you can tell I'm in a good mood tonight. The truth is, he got found out that Spanish kid a little bit, didn't they? You know, let's be honest, he got beat that fight. So I think they've gone back to the drawing board a little bit, haven't they? Which was much needed. So I agree. Bring a 39-year-old journeyman in where he can have a learning fight. I don't think he gets this guy out of there, so he'll be able to get plenty of rounds in the bank and try a few new things out.
Okay, moving on. Next fighter we'll look at Johnny Fisher. They're on for Bull against Michael Reisinger, I think it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Johnny Fisher, by all accounts, has sold. This is in Sheffield, isn't it? This event.
Yep.
Johnny Fisher, by all accounts, has sold about 1,000 tickets on his own. They're only saying that they reckon there's only going to be 5,000 there, which is pretty good going for a next gen show, to be fair. But selling 1,000 tickets on your own is absolutely incredible when you live in South London. Doing stuff like that on a regular basis, he's going to get a push from Eddie Earn without a shadow of a doubt. Selling that sort of tickets, not many fighters do that, do they?
No.
Have you been impressed with him so far, Carl?
Yeah, I quite like Johnny Fisher in and out the ring. To be honest, I mean you've got to keep your feet on the ground because again, a bit like Hatton into his opponents having left much to be desired, but I think he's doing very well on social media. Because let's have it right. As much as it's important to fight inside the ring, it's important to build a profile outside the ring. So doing 1,000 tickets at the other end of the country, very good. He can bang. He's a big old lump. What level he gets to, time will tell with that one. Because obviously there's still areas of the game that he needs to improve, but he does acknowledge that. So, likeable kid. Can understand why Matchroom are giving him a push because A, from Romford, which is around their neck of the woods, and B, he's going to start. He's shifting some tickets already. So, yeah, I think he's only a young kid, isn't he? I think they're moving much slowly but surely through the levels, and let's have a good time doing it. To be honest,
by all accounts as well, he's in touch with every single one of them ticket buyers. It's incredible.
He does events, don't he? He does events. I know Shane Watson from S Jam's at a charity football game where he had all his supporters there. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a big ticket seller.
Still a young fighter, mate. There's plenty of time for him to progress.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no rush. I don't see Eddie Earn pushing him too quickly. He won't need to. When you're selling them sort of tickets, mate, you don't need to be pushing them onto massive shows here.
Well, he can get beyond the narrative that he's a young lad, which he is, and he needs to build him. There's plenty of domestic heavyweights around, isn't there?
Yeah.
So take him the slow route. There's no rush.
Where would you take Johnny Fisher after this, Sean?
I don't know. I think the trouble is the fandom and Matchroom, they have in the past sort of pushed fighters too hard and too early. I would like him to fight someone like David Adelaide, but I don't know if that's too soon. But they're both at a similar stage of their career. Maybe Adelaide's a bit ahead, but I think that'd be a fantastic fight.
Okay.
What about a Babbage too early?
Yeah.
I think that, to be honest.
I do.
I'm not sure if he's got enough experience at the minute, ringcraft wise. Babbage is a brawler and he just throws a lot of shots, gets in your face and throws a lot of shots and pushes you about. I know Fisher's a big fighter, and maybe Babbage won't be able to do it easily to him, but you need a little bit of ringcraft with a fighter like that, don't you? Just to give yourself a little bit of space to get your own shots off. Not quite sure if Johnny Fisher's got the experience enough to do that yet. He can certainly bang hard enough, because Babbage is not big, is it?
I think he beats Babbage. I think he knocks him out.
Yeah, you're probably right. If he catches him, he does. Moving on. To a fighter that Eddie Earn has proclaimed the next big hope in the cruiserweight division. Jordan Thompson is fighting for the IBF European Cruiserweight title against Vasil Dunkar. Jordan sat at 13-0. Dunkar's 12-5-1. I've been quite impressed with Jordan Thompson so far. They seem to be building him quite well and nice and steady. Again, not rushing him. Building his career. But for Eddie Earn to come out with a statement like that, he's clearly got a lot of faith in what he's able to do. Sean, we've already said, haven't we, that the cruiserweight division is one of the worst divisions in boxing at the minute. It's not littered with world level fighters. How far do you see Thompson going?
Yeah, I really love him, and I think by all accounts, GB, he was one of their highly before he turned over. I think the trouble he's got, there's not really many opponents for him, is there? As they with the division, got like sort of the world's or the mediocre guys. There's not really in between. So I think for him, he's just got to sort of have a few more. And let's see where he is at the end of the year.
Do you think it's much too soon to put him in with the likes of Isaac Chamberlain?
Yeah, I'd say so. I would say he probably needs another fight or two before that.
Carl, where would you go with him next? Do you think he's at that level yet?
No, not yet. The pro game's all about learning to. I mean, I won't give him 20-odd fights before jumping in with a meaningful fight, but Sean makes a good point. It's almost 0 to 100, isn't it, in a cruiserweight division? So you got your real basic average fighters, and you're jumping in with quite deep water. Having said that, I think Eddie Earn's comments might have been a bit of a swipe at the boxer stable, if I'm being brutally honest. I think it was a bit tongue-in-cheek, because that's some statement, isn't it, that he made. So I think that's a bit of a swipe at the boxer stable with their cruiserweights. But he looks good. You know, no one really of note is he at the minute on his resume. So you know,
No.
he needs that gut check. He needs that gut check for me. This guy he's jumping in with has already got a following bout scheduled on the 30th of September. Well, I don't like that when they have a fight scheduled afterwards, because that tells me he's coming not to get cut. He's coming to survive. So that won't help Jordan Thompson, because it's difficult to look good against somebody who's coming in with that mentality. I mean, this Vassil's been in with Bilham Smith back in 2021 and got beat as well. And you know my thoughts on Bilham Smith. So I think it'll be a long night for Jordan Thompson. I think he'll take it on points.
With Chris Bilham Smith being out of contract with Matchroom, and actually being out of contract anywhere at the minute, he's a free agent. If he doesn't go back to Matchroom, I can see them putting all the focus on Thompson here. Eddie Hearn was a little bit. He was complimentary, but he wasn't overly complimentary. He was asked about Chris Bilham Smith, and he says, "Yeah, I like him as a fighter, but he was out of contract with us. He got an opportunity to fight in his hometown on a different platform, took it, but he's still out of contract." So he never actually turned around and says, "Well, I really want to sign him back." Do you see that happening? Do you think he'll sign again? Or do you think he's just going to go on a fight by fight deal?
I think there's probably an offer on the table from Matchroom that probably Bilham Smith isn't favouring. I think Eddie will almost go, "That's what I think you're worth. You either sign it or you don't," is my honest opinion. Don't know about you, Sean.
If you was Bilham Smith's manager, what would you advise him to do?
Well, he hasn't got obviously it's difficult to say because I don't know what offers are on the table.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a big enough name to go fight by fight. He ain't a Crawford or a Mayweather, is there? So I think he needs regular fights. So I would suggest that he signs with a broadcaster, because if not, he could be in danger of being overtaken by up-and-coming fighters, and then all of a sudden he's got no broadcaster. And we've seen other fighters who have struggled when they haven't got a broadcaster to broadcast the fight. So I would suggest signing the best deal that he's got from a broadcaster.
Yeah. Fair enough. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, right. I think ironically, probably the best place for him. He can be sort of into a semi style with them, but obviously boxers the place with the cruiserweights that they've got at the moment.
And also 3,000. I don't even think it was full, but 3,000 in Bournemouth. Not big enough numbers for the zone, is it? You'd argue probably not big enough numbers for BT or Sky. So there's a point to Sean's comment regarding maybe going with Wasserman and rebuilding. Channel 5, 3,000 in a Bournemouth stadium. I'd argue they'd probably take that as a gate receipt.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. It'd be a massive star on Channel 5, wouldn't it? In relation to what they already have. Okay. Moving on. Next fight. Hopi Price against Alexander Mejia, I think his last name's pronounced. Another one where, Hopi Price is 7-0, up-and-coming star, still learning his trade. Mejia's 18-3-0, so there's a lot of experience there. I don't think he's got a very big knockout ratio, though, was it? Did you see what that was, Cole?
Who are we talking about?
His
the
opponent,
one from
Alexander Mejia.
Yeah, so 18 wins, 7 by knockout.
Yeah, so he's not a massive puncher. I'm quite a fan of Hopi Price. I like his style, like the way he goes about his business, but again, still learning. So Sean, looks like he's going to be quite high up on the card here. Do you think that's warranted, or would you have him lower down?
I think he's probably one of the bigger cards in terms of up and down. I think he's probably going to support their. I think it's just.
And you, Cole, same question?
Yeah, I like Hopi Price. Southpaw, nice and slick. No, I think he warrants being high up on the card, to be brutally honest with you. I think Sandy Ryan's going to be the chief support, and then I'd probably put Hopi Price next, looking at the names. So, no, I like Hopi Price. Obviously, he's starting to develop that following, I believe, in Leeds. He's a Leeds lad, isn't he, from memory? I know he's fought on Warrington's undercard, hasn't he, a few times. So we all know how the Leeds lot get behind the fighters, although they're going to be disappointed when Wood knocks Warrington out. I'll just say that now. But no, I think Hopi Price deserves his place, and he's very good to watch.
Yeah, he's quality into. Prediction for that fight?
Yeah, I see Hopi Price getting this. Obviously, he's from Central America, so he's going to be a tough kid, but it's over 8 rounds, so I think Hopi Price gets him out there in the 6th.
Sean, same question?
Yeah, I think he's on wide points.
Yeah, I'm going to go points as well, and it's going to be a one-sided fight for me. I think he'll cruise his way through the fight. Okay, moving on. Chief support Sandy Ryan puts it all on the line again against Erica Farias. Now, Erica Farias, as you know, beat Sandy Ryan on the undercard to Lee Wood Michael Conlon. Let's just put it into perspective a little bit. Sandy Ryan was 3-0 when she took that fight. Erica Farias was 26-5. She'd been in with Mikhail, Jessica McCaskill twice, and Brackhurst. So the quality that Farias has been in with, and the quality of the fighters she's beat as well. I was staggered when I first heard that fight being made. I know Sandy Ryan was a brilliant amateur, and I think she's real quality. I think it was maybe a little bit too soon, that original fight, and she lost a bit of art because she lost the first couple of rounds. She's lost a bit of art. I think you're going to see a completely different Sandy Ryan in this fight. I think she'll take it to her, and I think she'll break her down, and I see a Sandy Ryan victory here. I think, again, I'm going to say it again, she's got absolute balls of steel for taking this fight. She could have dodged it. She didn't need to take it again. No one owed against her for losing to Farias because of the quality. Their experience. She could have very easily gone down another route and took easier fights, another 4-0. But that's not in her makeup, I don't think. She's not that sort of character. Cole, how do you see the fight going?
Yeah, let me start by saying she better had win this fight, or it's a long, long way back for her. So I'm not sure when you talk about the quality of this Erica Farias. She's 38 years old, so clearly on the slide. So if Sandy Ryan's got anything like world title ambitions or anything, she needs to be getting these people out of there. I take your point, it's very early in her career. But they must have fancied the chances, or they wouldn't have jumped in with her, right? So obviously the matchmaker, whoever that might have been. I don't think she had many more places to go, but to rematch this girl, because obviously it's a bit of a black mark on her resume, isn't it? I think Sandy Ryan will win this fight because she's had a chance to have a good look at her, set a quick pace. Obviously, her opponent's on legs that are 38 years old, and try and drag it a bit later. So I think Sandy Ryan will actually stop this girl probably around 5. I think it'll be a bit of an emphatic win.
Sean, how do you see it going?
Yeah, I agree. I think part of the problem was Sandy Ryan sort of, I think, believed in her power too much and hype as well. She's admitted as much, but I think this time she'll be more focused and absolutely jump on her and to do a good job on her.
Yeah,
Sandy Ryan's a much better boxer than she showed in that first fight. I think she maybe let the occasion get to her a little bit.
She'd better be.
She'll certainly learn from it, won't she? She could have had, I think I said it at the time. She could have had 10 easy gimme fights and not learned as much as she learned in that one fight. She's got a very good stable. Clifton Mitchell's a coach. He knows his way around the game, don't he? And he don't take no crap. He's definitely gonna push the right way for this rematch.
She's 28, though, remember, so that's why she's putting her foot down a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. She spent some time in the amateurs, mate. She was very, very good, and I still think she's very, very good. I see. I'm like you, Cole. I think she dominates. I think she dominates this fight. She's got the bit between her teeth, and she feels like she's got to prove something. I don't think she has to prove anything to anyone, because of the quality of this girl. And even though she's getting on in age, mate, she's still quality. Yeah, I see a Sandy Ryan stoppage. Absolutely. Okay, moving on to the headliner, Dalton Smith. Is this fight? This is for the vacant British super lightweight title, by the way. Is this Dalton Smith? Is this his defining night? Cole, does he?
No, in a word.
Do you not think it is?
No, I mean it's intriguing, this fight is, because obviously it's a Sheffield derby.
Yeah.
So with Sam Amazing coming from Derby as well, Derby, Sheffield. So I'd expect blood, guts, and thunder in this fight. But from Dalton Smith, he's got bigger nights. I wouldn't say it's a breakout fight. I think we all know how good Dalton Smith is. I really rate him. 11 wins, 9 KO. He can bang. But this Sam's 31 years old, 17 wins, 7 KOs. Sometimes these fighters are dangerous, aren't they, where they get the opportunity in front of the bright lights.
He's never likely to get another one, is he?
No, having said that, I think Dalton Smith's just too good. I really rate him. So I think Dalton Smith takes care of this. I'm going early. I'm going round 4.
Wow. I agree with you. I think Dalton Smith's great. Sean, do you? Same question to you, really. Is this if he makes a statement here? Is this him announcing himself on the world stage?
I think what it does do is it puts. I think he probably needs a few big sort of level wins first, but I can see him being a world champion by say this time next year. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't believe it can be. Andy, I don't believe it can be a statement to the world when you're on a next gen show. I think, and especially against it, with all due respect to his opponent, like Sean said, he needs a few recognisable names who maybe he takes care of earlier.
I hear what you're saying, mate. But he's headlining the show. There's going to be 5,000 people there. It's in his own city. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely crazy because, like you said, it's a derby. If this is a barnstormer of a fight, or even if Dalton Smith blasts this kid out of there, it shows where he's heading for me, though. That's kind of what I perhaps worded it wrong, but it certainly shows that he's in the right way, heading the right way, and winning a British title doing it.
I mean, all the pressure's on Dalton.
Yeah.
Because this is a free hit for this Sam fella, isn't it? Because nobody knows who he is. So Dalton's one. If Dalton blasts him out in the first round, the guy was a bum. If he beats him over 12, it's a poor performance by Dalton. So he's got, it's a tough gig for him, really.
So I mean, he's certainly not a bum, but you're right in the sense that he's not had the spotlight on him the way Dalton Smith's had the spotlight on him.
I'm talking what people might say if he blasts him out in one, though. People would perceive him as being a bum. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, maybe. Okay. You're right, though. I hear what you're saying. It's a no-win situation in a sense. If he makes an odd night's work of it, people are going to say, "Oh, he's not quite as good as we thought he was." Then. Okay. Moving on, Cole. Next topic. So
the next topic is obviously the biggest fight of the weekend: Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus McKinson. Obviously Golden Boy and Matchroom joint promotion, I might add. So obviously, without banging the drum about Conor Benn, I'll reiterate, if Mickinson can jump in with Ortiz, I don't really see why Conor Benn's not doing it. But let's talk about this fight. So I've had a lot of dialogue with Americans and Canadians on various platforms who seem to think Virgil Ortiz is going to come into the ring and just run over Mickinson. I beg to differ. I think Virgil Ortiz wins the fight. I think he comes on strong late and might just be a bit too much for Mickinson. But, don't sleep on Mickinson. He's a very good fighter. There's a reason why certain boxers avoid him in the UK, and that's because he's slicky and he can bang a little bit. He deserves his shot, let's have it right, because he got pulled from him very late on last time out.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it'll be a good clash of styles, but I think Virgil Ortiz will probably stop Mickinson round 11.
How good do you think Virgil Ortiz is, Carl?
Yeah, I really rate him. I know he's had that illness. He's very... I'll stop short of saying elite, but I'll say he's world class.
So there's obviously the two big fighters in the division above him. Do you think he's the next layer then? Do you think he's the champion in waiting?
Yeah, I think you're about bang on. I think he's about the third best in that weight division at the minute.
Sean, where do you see him?
I agree. I think sort of him, Sennis, sort of they're the next level to the Crawfords and the Spencers. In terms of the fight, I think Mickinson probably will outbox him. I don't know for the 2 or 3 rounds, but I think the trouble he has is the power to keep Ortiz, and I think that's what will tell the fight. And I agree. I think he'll get 9 or 10.
I think we're all thinking very similar here. Virgil Ortiz has been out there, remember? He was ill, wasn't he? So you don't know what fighter you're getting, really. The quality is always going to be there. It's just whether he's up at 100%. If he's not, then this could be a difficult night's work for him. I guess we're going to see. Have they given him long enough to get back to peak fitness? If they have, then I completely agree with you. I hate to agree with everything that everyone says, but unfortunately on this one, I think I have to. I see a late stoppage as well. I'm saying going to go, round championship rounds 9, 10, 11, something like that.
But somebody's always got to go in it. So interesting.
But if Ortiz wants to be that next massive star, he can't make a slip up, can he?
No.
He's still
and let's be brutally honest, if he is going to be that next star, he needs to be beating people like Mickinson.
Yeah. He's still sat in the mandatory position for the WBC as well. So when it gets when things plan themselves out, with the two golden boys, when they finally have the bollocks, when they finally find the bollocks for making the fight, if that ever happens, he's next in waiting. But to be quite honest with you, I don't see them losing their titles anytime soon, and they certainly won't, unless they're forced to. Certainly won't be fighting Ortiz or Boots Ennis anytime soon.
So, moving on. So, announced today, Joe George versus Joe Parker, 24th of September, Manchester. And interestingly enough, this is going to be shown on BT Sports. So I'll just give my little gambit, and I'm not one for talking round and round the houses and making 5,000 points when one would do. So the only point I'm going to make is, if I was Joe Parker, I'd be very, very disappointed that Sky Sports and Boxer have not paid Joyce a shed load of money to come and fight on my platform, which is Sky Sports. So that's the point I'd like to make. And over to you.
Okay. It's not as straightforward as that, mate. Frank Warren threw his toys out the pram like a little baby when Joe Parker decided to sign with Boxer and not take the original fight. Had a right Mardy, caused a load of trouble, started pointing the finger at everybody but himself. He should have made the guy sign a contract before he had the face-to-face. That never happened. That's poor promoting. The fact that the fight's now been made, and it's now been made on BT Sports, doesn't mean that Ben Shalom is not a good promoter. It doesn't mean that he's weak. It doesn't mean that Sky don't have the money. All it means is that they trust Joe Parker enough to put him on another platform. I think, in my opinion, this is very good for British boxing. It's very good for world boxing. At least two British promoters on two big channels can make a fight between each other, because we haven't seen that with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. It just hasn't happened, mate, with big fights. This is a big fight.
Let me just put a question to you. So yeah. Frank Warren was Mardy and upset with Joe Parker.
Yep.
Why bring him back onto BT Sports platform?
Because it's the biggest fight that Joe Joyce has got right now.
But he's obviously not trustworthy, because it was a gentleman's handshake last time. So I'm surprised that Warren's paying him probably what is a lot of money to bring him back onto BT.
Again, same question, same answer. Just as I've just get, it's the biggest fight Joe Joyce has got right now. It's the biggest fight in British heavyweight boxing, to be honest with you, because they sat at number 1 and number 2 in 2 governing bodies. And it's for the is it British and Commonwealth, or just British title?
British and Commonwealth, I believe.
British and Commonwealth.
Oh no, he's giving up. He's giving up. Which belt did he give up, Joe Joyce? He got rid of one, didn't he?
The
or
British
has he
one.
got the European? Has he got the European? I can't remember.
No.
Anyway, it's beside the point. It doesn't matter what belt he's got, because this is more. It's for more than just a British or a Commonwealth or a European belt. It's for the mandatory spot to fight the winner of...
Which makes it a big fight, right?
It's a massive fight.
So again, if you're Mr. Sky Sports, yeah? Wouldn't you be disappointed that this fight is happening on BT's platform? It's a straight question.
Yeah, and the straight answer is they didn't have a choice, mate. Because
I don't believe that.
They're not the champion, Carl. They're not the A side.
It doesn't matter about champion anyway. If they would have paid enough money, let's just keep it simple. If Sky Sports would have gone to Joe Joyce's management team, as in Jam, and I'll put this to Shane Watson, and says, we're offering you X amount more money for Joe to come and fight on Sky. Are you trying to tell me that Jam and Warren wouldn't have let him go over?
Warren wouldn't have let him go over.
No way.
Warren would not have let him fight.
What do you think, Sean? Sean's neutral. Sean's Luxembourg. Come on, Sean. What do you think?
I agree. I think, let's not forget, Sky signed Joe Parker. It's a blockbuster sign for them, because he was AJ's replacement as their main weight on their platform. So I think, for them, it's got to be aggression for him to go on BT, because surely, as he was signed as an A-star fighter, you want him, even if it's a knockout, you want him prime time on Saturday night Sky Sports, and given this sports box office as well, surely Sky Sports could have even more money to put it on their pay-per-view platform, because it's bigger.
I don't think they had a choice. I think it was a case of fighting on BT or not getting the fight at all.
I don't believe that for 1 minute. Or why not dual it then? Why not say we'll put it on both platforms?
Because that don't happen, mate, does it? That doesn't happen.
It does on some big fights, don't it? Where you got the option to buy the fight.
When was the last time
I'm making is
BT and Sky Sports had a joint promotion?
Say again.
When was the last time BT and Sky Sports had
I'm not talking about... No, you misunderstand me. I'm not talking about a joint broadcasting. I'm talking about having it available, like Tyson Fury fight, where you can order it through the button on Sky and you can do it on BT as well.
We're talking about a completely different level of fighters here, though, aren't we?
But what I'm saying is, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
No. With Tyson Fury, it was that much money, mate. It wasn't a problem for either camp to have the fight. For either TV
But
broadcaster.
anyway, don't take me away from the original point. My point is, and I will come to your comment in a minute, Joe. Mr. Sky Sports must be disappointed that he signed Joe Parker and now he's fighting on BT. That's my opinion. If there's enough money, it doesn't matter who the champion is, all that crap. If there's enough money on the table, it can happen on the moon. So, Joe.
I don't agree, mate. I don't agree. Because what this does is...
Joe says, clever move by Shalom, as this isn't doing big numbers on BT pay-per-view. And Parker gets paid. Plus, if it's a great fight, the rematch is on Sky. Ben done a great job. I don't understand how the promoter's done a great job by letting his fighter fight on another platform when he's just been signed for Sky.
I'm telling you now, mate. If Ben Shalom had not agreed for the fight to be on BT, there's no way that fight would happen. Frank Warren would not have allowed it on Sky Sports because, as far as Frank Warren's concerned, he's got the champion. He's got the man that sat in the #1 mandatory spot. Why would he allow that fighter to go over and fight on another champion? It just wouldn't happen, mate, because Frank Warren don't do that. Just like Eddie Hearn don't do it. We've been slagging for years. We've been slagging these two off for not making massive fights because, we don't want them on your platform. Oh, my fighter's not going on your platform. Ben Shalom's doing it. Ben Shalom's made the fight. He's the one that's made this fight because he's allowing his fight to go on another platform. Otherwise, this fight wouldn't happen, Carl.
That's not difficult, though, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It's not difficult. Why?
It's a gamble, isn't it? It's a gamble allowing your fighter to go and fight on another platform. You've got to really believe in that fighter.
Well, I just think if Sky wanted to show some intent and show... My concern is that, like I said before, I don't believe Sky giving Boxer a decent budget. I think he's nowhere near what Eddie Hearn has. So when it comes to these sort of fights, they just get blown out the water. And, it comes back to a central point. Liam Smith again. I know his first fight back on the platform, but he's fighting somebody who, let's be honest with you, no one knows. So I'm just concerned that he hasn't got the budget to make these big fights. So his fighters have to go on other platforms to get the big fights.
Well, he's obviously offered Liam Smith something massive, mate. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone nowhere.
Let's hope so. Let's see. So, and then another bit of news that just dropped is Eddie Hearn's just done an interview speaking that Lee Wood is also going to go out on the 24th of September. That's his date. And the front runner for Lee Wood is Lara.
I've heard that.
So, 24th of September might be a busy night.
That's
Lee Wood jumps in with Mauricio Lara. He's got the biggest pair of you-know-what in many fighters because he's avoided. Lara's, and he's in the new Who Needs Him club, really. But what a fight that will be. So, Sean, is there anything else you want to cover? Or Joe, do you want to make any more comments on Shalom that I can disagree with?
I think, though, with doing this, I mean, I don't know if you see Frank Warren zigs at him, all interviews he's done today really aren't going to work, I don't think, very regularly. The trouble that Shalom's got is people don't really know what he's about yet. He isn't really, hasn't really got much personality, so people face value for what he says. And I think the trouble that he'll have with Sky times as well is he hasn't got the pull to bring big opponents over. We've spoke about it before. So I think Joe Joyce and Party, I think that's probably a win for him in more ways than one, because if he loses, he's really nowhere to go. And I think also part of the problem why they took an opponent for Parker.
You speak a lot of sense.
What? It's not like sense because you agree with him, Sean. That's why I speak a lot of sense.
No, it's not like... Yeah, but what my point is, Shalom can't go, what a great job I've done. My fight is fighting on BT. Frank Warren can go, I brought a Sky Sports signed fighter and he's on my platform. Thank you very much.
You can twist it. You can twist it however you want to make your point, mate. Just the same as I can twist it however I want to make mine.
Well,
the fact of the matter is the fight's been made.
His job is to get. Not really. His job to get fighters on Sky, and he's not done that.
Let's just be happy the fight's being made, because it wasn't being made, was it? Because Frank Warren threw his toys out the pram. And he would have threw his toys out the pram if Ben Shalom had gone to him and gone, yeah, we'll make the fight, but we're only making the fight if it's on Sky. Frank Warren would have gone, well, the fight's not getting made then. The only reason this fight's being made is because Ben Shalom's allowing his fight to go to BT.
But I make the same point again, and this is the last time I'll make the point. Frank Warren wouldn't say no if there was enough money on that table because S-Jam manage him. Frank only promotes him. So S-Jam were the ones who say, hold on a minute, Frank, we manage him. He's fighting on there. If there's money makes the game, doesn't it? It's all about the prize fighters. So if there's enough money stacked up like that, you know, like behind Sean or that.
Who's his fight contract with? Who's his fight contract with? Who's his fight contract with?
Well, his broadcast deal was obviously with Frank Warren and Queensbury and BT.
Right, exactly.
You don't know what's in that
so Frank Warren's going to say, you're not fighting on the platform because you've got a contract to fight for me.
That's who. You don't know that's in the contract, do you?
Of course it's in the contract. It's in the contract for a big massive fighter.
But Shalom says that he's let Parker go over and fight once on BT because obviously the money's there, which he couldn't stump up. You
don't know he couldn't stump it up, Carl. You just the same as I don't know what's in the contract. You don't know what's in the contract. It's all hearsay.
Again, it brings us back to that one point. He couldn't have offered enough money or it'd be on Sky Sports.
That was never on the table. Come on.
We don't
read between the lines, mate. We do, because Frank Warren wouldn't allowed it.
You just don't want to see anything. You just can't stand the thought that we're querying whether Shalom's got deep pockets or not.
Why has Bawatsi Yard never been made?
You tell me. I'm not in the negotiation room, am I? Put it to Warren and...
It's because neither of them want their fight to fight on another platform.
But the fact is that Parker has gone and agreed to fight on another
Exactly.
platform.
My point exactly. Ben Shalom allowed him to. The fight's happening because Ben Shalom is allowing his fighter to move on to another platform.
I don't think he had a choice. Yeah, I
of course
don't think he had a choice.
No, you're not fighting on that platform. And the fight wouldn't have got made.
There's only one winner in this negotiation, and that's Frank Warren.
No, there's two winners in this negotiation. It's the two fighters. Because it's the biggest fight we can have right now.
Not when Parker walks out on BT Sports. There's only one statement being made there.
Not if Parker wins it, innit?
But he's still on BT Sports, isn't
Imagine that, Cole. Imagine that. The Sky Sports fighter. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, by the way. I think Joe Joyce wins the fight. But imagine Joe Parker goes to BT Sports and beats Parker, beats Joyce, and takes his title away from him, takes his number spot away from him, and then walks back onto Sky.
To fight some European journeyman.
No, yeah, but he won't be doing, will he? He'll be fighting the winner of Usyk and AJ.
Yeah, on his own because he can't.
Doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter where it'll be because the money will be massive, mate. The point I'm making.
When's he actually going to get a fight on Sky then?
The point I'm making. Hold on a minute. So how do you know the fight won't be on Sky Box Office?
On what? Who?
How do you know that next fight won't be on Sky Box Office? This one is.
Who are we talking about now? You've lost me.
AJ against Usyk. He's on Sky Box Office. It's not on his own. So how do you know when that world title fight gets made again? How do you know that's not going to be on Sky?
Because Shalom didn't have no involvement in that. Did he? He had no involvement in that fight.
I'm not saying he did.
Well, then he's gone. That's why I think he'll be a European journeyman rather than a big fight because he hasn't made a big fight yet. Apart from Christian Shields versus Marshall.
It'll be mandatory. He won't have to make the fight. The fight gets made for itself because he's mandatory.
So it'll be on DAZN.
Whatever.
That's
still getting a crack at the world title. You're completely ignoring my point. My point is, if Joe Parker, who's a Sky fighter, goes over to BT and beats their number one heavyweight, apart from Fury, beats their number one heavyweight, who's sat at the number one spot for 3 of the world title belts, and he beats Joe Joyce on his own turf. Who's won there then? Sky or BT?
Yeah, well, obviously Sky won in that essence, but will it happen?
Right, well, it could happen, couldn't it?
But you're going around the answer to point, and let's get back to the central point. Who's won by Joe Joyce, Parker walking out on a BT card?
They've both won because they're both getting massive paydays. The fight games won. The fight games, you're trying to take it down.
We're talking out of 2 promoters, aren't we? Out of 2 promoters, who's got the upper hand by having a Sky Sports fighter walking out on a BT card? It's a clear answer.
You're trying to angle the question, so I give you. You're trying to angle the question, so I give you the answer that you want. That's what you're trying to do.
Was there only one answer?
There was only one answer to begin with because it could never have been on Sky. That's my whole point.
But you don't know that. You don't know what the contract holds.
It could never have been on Sky.
Well, what we'll do, we'll get Shane Watson on then, and we'll put it to him, and then he can put his argument to bed. Because I don't believe for 1 minute, if there was a mountain of cash, a bucket load of cash on the table, that Joe Joyce is going to say, "I ain't going to fight on Sky because of X, Y, and Z." It would have been on Sky, the Sky platform, as quick as you can say Billio.
Joe Joyce don't have a choice, mate.
You don't know that.
He's got a contract with Warren.
You don't know there's not a clause in there. You don't know there's not a clause in there. There may be a threshold of if a fight bid goes above whatever. You don't know.
Track record tells me not, mate. Frank Warren don't allow his fighters on other platforms. End of.
You don't know what
it's
all in material anyway. It outbid Boxer. It's in material because he outbids them.
If Ben Shalom had not agreed to have this fight on BT, this fight would not be happening.
I'm not
it's the only reason this fight's happening. It's the only reason this fight's happening, mate.
Let's agree to this because I'll make the point one more time. If enough money was on the table, Joyce would go over to Sky and fight. But he hasn't got the budget. And that's why Frank's outbidding him.
It's got nothing to do with money. It's got nothing to do with budget.
And you'll see more and more of him. So Joe in the side says, in my opinion, Sky don't think it's a pay-per-view fight. Parker will fight Fury in a rematch on Sky. See again, will Fury go to fight on Sky? Then when is it? If Usyk wins, it won't be on DAZN. So Wood versus Lara then, Sean, who wins?
I think.
You hear that? Great fight though, isn't it?
I think it's going to just be a shoot. Who lands first?
See, I differ slightly there, Sean. I think Wood knows the danger of Lara, and I think he'll box until he gets the opportunity to land his big shot. He's a much better boxer than Lara. Lara's got massive bombs, but Wood's capable of staying out of his way.
It's a statement fight for Wood, isn't it? Look what I can do to someone who took Warrington apart. That's all it is. So I've got 1 hour of the time, Andy, for obvious reasons. So I'll let you close the show out. Great show again. Thank you for all the comments on the side. Sean, thank you for joining us. Over to you, Andy.
Yeah, apologies to anyone watching this for the first time and wondering what the hell's going on. But this is what our show's about. It's about opinions. We don't always have to agree. Me and Carl have had this show now running for just over a year, and we hardly ever agree. So it is what it is. He has his opinions on fight side, my opinions, and Sean's generally the man in between sorting it out. But you're all welcome on the show whenever. Thanks to everyone in the sidebar for the comments again. Joe, You're always on, mate. It's brilliant to have you here, pal. Let's try and have you on screen sometime, mate. Be great to see who you are. Let's get you on. So we'll be back again the same time next week, 7:00. We'll have some interviews dropping very, very early next week. And we'll see you soon. We'll see you next Thursday, guys.